connection here.
Okay.
Great. So tell me about the project.
Okay. Basically, we're trying to get some students in China and charge them a fee to find them a college in the U.S. Many of the colleges in the U.S. Are also willing to pay a fee. And so the idea is we'll just charge fees where we provide a service. One of the services that seems to be in great demand is English teaching to the Chinese students. Helping them pick out majors would be another one. Because when they go to college in China, the government assigns them to a college and assigns them to a major. And so now they have to figure that out for themselves. What college do I want to go to? What major do I want to take? Blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot of services we can provide to the students, and services we could provide to the colleges, and not just colleges, but high schools as well, I think, would be pre-screening the students so that they wouldn't get somebody with too low of a score. We could even give tests. I have some people that are able to set up testing centers. Then eventually it could be expanded into private schools, although that's a harder thing to do here in China. You have to have a certain amount of investment, and there's a lot of requirements to set up a school. But just an English school is a lot easier to set up.
Okay.
Are we still together?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, it's all in English. It would be immersion English mostly?
Yeah, primarily. They have different kinds of classes. And it would be from people with little or no English background, although those are becoming fewer and farther between, to people with a lot of English.
The method that we use over here, which is in the language schools that my colleagues use, is very active, interactive, and
Right.
you don't do any translation.
Exactly, that's the best way to do it. I've taught law to both types, and the translation part really ruins the whole effect.
Right. What's the money look like? I mean, do you have enough funds to get this thing started? Do you have partners?
Well, we have a partner who's willing to put up, I think, I can't remember whether he said 100,000 or 300,000 RMB. You have to divide that by 6.5 roughly to convert it to dollars. I think it was 100,000, but I'm not positive.
That's about $16,000.
Yes, that's probably about right. While we're talking, I'm going to look at my book here and see if I can find my notes on that one.
What's it cost to get? What's it cost to get a school started from what you're thinking about?
Well, that depends on.
Do you have pretty fast startup?
Yeah, we try to find people that are willing to be more or less partners, and they invest their time, take a low salary, and get the salary back on the bonuses, we would give them a higher percentage of the pie at the end of the year. Because if we have to pay a high salary, then the bonus is going to be very small.
Sure. And I guess you don't have students lined up just yet, so it takes a while to build the reputation of the school.
That's correct, but my partner is very well connected in the government, the provincial government in Fujian province, and also in the city government in Fuzhou, which is one of the larger cities in Fujian province. And they tell him they'll provide the building and the students.
That's a dream, because the marketing of a language school is usually the biggest budget kicker. You never have enough marketing in the beginning.
Yeah, and they're springing up left and right, including those set up by the governments. So we would have a license from a government corporation, which would give us a real leg up. And then they would just order the schools to send students to us.
And then that's your captive market, because most of those students want to then study in the United States. They're a source of revenue because they will be paying fees to you to advise them where to go?
Sort of, yes. They'll also be paying fees to whoever's doing the teaching, and fees to the visa agency. He has a wholly owned subsidiary visa agency, but we're not going to require, I don't think, from what he said, we're not going to require anybody to, use our own services. But they'll get a nice push in that direction.
And then do you have relationships with universities over here, or is that something that is pretty easy to set up?
Set up now, yeah. But I think it should be fairly easy. For instance, in New Jersey, where I come from, there's a big budget battle going on, and the new Republican governor found out that the consortium of state-related and state-owned colleges was getting together, and they were planning on going to the legislature and asking for an increase in the state-supported monies, because they'd been frozen for a couple of years now. So he announced that they were cutting those budgets in half.
So if you had students coming from foreign, they would be paying full out-of-state prices.
That's correct. And so the consortium announced that they would, if that was going to happen, that they would have to get some more international students in order to cover their budget shortfalls. And so I have a client friend, a former client and friend, who lives in Jersey, and he had been helping his friends. He was born and raised in Inner Mongolia, and he had been helping his former classmates' children get into various schools. He and I discussed that. He told me about it, and I said, "Oh, we should talk to them." And he said, "Well, I'm going up there tomorrow."